Welcome back to Shoot the Shot, an NBA and variety show. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host Luke Sylvia. Luke, how are we doing tonight?
We're good. We're in the month of November here now. We've been having some good NBA games. Last night was a really fun Hornets and Warriors game. It was just a lot of fun to see Miles Bridges, who is becoming one of my favorite players. Slowly but surely, actually not even slowly but surely, he's quickly becoming one of the NBA players to watch just because of the jump he's made and some of the plays that he makes, man. It is ridiculous to see like the jump that Miles Bridges truly has made. And last night was nothing short of it. And Jordan Poole, so it was like the night of the emerging stars last night.
Yeah, I think Jordan Poole hasn't got off to as hot of a start. Like a lot of people had him pegged as like a most improved candidate so far on the year. 16.4 points a game, so second leading scorer for the Warriors, but just shooting 30%, from the 3-point line. So we're going to talk a little bit here in some problems that guys around the league are having shooting the basketball, Luke, and what that might be attributed to. But first, I'm glad that you brought up the Warriors because that's really where we're going to start tonight. We're going to start to talk about the Golden State Warriors and just kind of the start that they've gotten off to start the season. Before the season, we had an episode where we talked about like what we thought were the most interesting storylines heading into the regular season, and for me, one of them was the Golden State Warriors. I thought a lot of people were sleeping on the Warriors. Now they're sitting at 6-1, Luke. And the most impressive thing to me is that they're doing it with their defense. Number one defensive rating in the entire league. They're sitting at 16th in offensive rating. So they're really doing this on the defensive side of things. Still no Klay Thompson, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. Those guys have barely played. Jonathan Kuminga has been getting healthy. I think he's starting to have a few appearances. But Moses Moody, I think, was sent down to their G League affiliate, maybe just to kind of keep him in rhythm. But if he's able to contribute at a high level the way that you and I thought that he was, going into the draft, we were ready to take him at 5 to the Orlando Magic. But yeah,
he
Luke,
played
what
last
have you thought
night
of the Warriors so far?
Yeah, Moody played, just as a sidebar, played last night. I think they're kind of just sending him back and forth as they please. He played only 2 minutes, 0 for 1, 1 rebound, 1 assist. So, but the problem is, when Moses Moody got drafted and Kuminga got drafted by the Warriors, I was like, what a great situation for them to be in. But the more you look at it, man, I don't know that it's that great of a situation. I mean, we thought that it was just kind of a plug and play, right? You just put Moody on the court, let him knock down open threes. That's that. Let Kuminga just continue to develop. They've got a lot of young guys that he can develop alongside guys like Jordan Poole. And you got guys like Andrew Wiggins who aren't that old either, and Toscano Anderson isn't terrible. He's playing less than he did last year just because they've got more depth this year. But yeah, I mean, as far as the Warriors go, you mentioned, obviously their defense is what has stood out so far this year. I saw somewhere that they are fifth in, creating wide open threes. Now they're not hitting them at a crazy clip or anything like that necessarily, but their offense is just so fluid. They have these just things that are in their offense, staples of their offense, I guess you could say. They know what they're doing. They love to get the ball in the post, and then they set set off ball screens and get obviously Curry open. Obviously, Curry is a big reason that the Warriors are who they are, right? I mean, he's created the dynasty basically alongside Kerr and Thompson and Draymond Green, but Curry's ability off ball really has helped them offensively as well. As it always has, but you kind of get to watching him. If you just focus on Steph Curry throughout an offensive possession, it's stupid. Just the way that he thinks on the fly. There's times where you can tell that they're setting a backdoor screen for him. He's supposed to curl off of it and come up top and catch the ball and shoot a three. He reads the defense and he knows, okay, I can't do that. That's not open. I'm going to cut backdoor. And then he still gets fed the ball. So like he is just always... Layup. Yeah, he's not obviously just the greatest shooter of all time. He's one of the best players off ball that I've ever seen, and he's just everywhere. His IQ is through the roof, obviously. Nothing new, right, with Steph Curry, but I think that the kind of emergence of Jordan Poole, yeah, he's not necessarily, averaging 20 a game, but he's averaging 16, and just wait till he starts hitting his three-pointers this year once he gets used to the things that we're going to talk about later, which, spoiler alert, it has to do with the new ball. Once he gets used to that, and kind of gets in a rhythm, I mean, the Warriors are only going to get scarier. They get Clay back. These guys are going to get used to the ball. If you believe in that or not, they're going to get used to the ball. They're going to start shooting the three ball at a high clip. They're getting open for open threes because of the design of their offensive plays. The Warriors have really nothing to worry about at all. Obviously, sitting at 6-1 without Klay Thompson back. So Klay Thompson in full uniform warming up the other day, which I love. Klay Thompson's a weirdo, and I love it. And I really am excited to see him kind of get back and see where he is, because he hasn't played in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So I mean that this Warriors team is going to be just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, really, they are shooting the ball pretty well. They're third in the league. Fourth in the league in 3-point percentage on the year. They're first in makes. They're also doing a great job rebounding the ball. One of the best rebounding teams in the league. First in the league. Fourth in the league. I don't know what the heck I'm looking at here. And then their assist percentage, number 1 in the league, which doesn't really surprise you with the Golden State Warriors. You've talked about the offensive schemes and the system that Steve Kerr has put in place there. And Steph Curry might be, he's just obviously one of the best offensive players that we've ever seen. But in terms of moving without the basketball, he really might be the best player of all time, just because you have to respect every facet of the game. If he's running, off screens or pin downs, you've got to worry about the three. If you're playing too high up on him, he's going to burn right past you. If he reads it and suspects that you're cheating, he's going to cut back door and have a wide open layup.
Right.
And he's, right up there with Kyrie in terms of the best below the rim finishers that we've ever seen. When Klay comes back, if Klay is healthy and Klay is, still capable of being Game 6 Klay, you have to put the Warriors in conversation to be contenders. I don't really think that's a hot take. I don't think that's debatable. They've been one of the best teams in the league thus far. Steph isn't even shooting, his normal 40% from 3. Jordan Poole's gotten off to a rough start. And then they're going to get a guy in Klay Thompson who's, should be one of the 75 best players of all time, future Hall of Famer, all that good stuff. You want to give him all the accolades. That's fine with me. The Warriors are just going to continue to get better. And there's a guy that we haven't even mentioned yet, James Wiseman, who number 2 in the draft last year. So that guy comes back. I mean, right now, you're seeing a lot of Kevon Looney there. But James Wiseman comes back, probably plug him into the starting lineup. And if he's able to look, better than he did last year, the Warriors are going to be really, really good. And I think if the Warriors are healthy, I like them over any team in the West. LeBron, he's had like the ankle issue and now like the abdomen issue that we're seeing. Yeah. Who knows what's really going on there? Is he really hurt? Is he just trying to get rest? Who knows? Obviously, they're going to need time to gel. Russ and Anthony Davis, LeBron, Melo, they haven't really all been on the same page so far. And outside of those two teams, I just don't know what team in the West is going to beat either of those teams. I like that for the Western Conference Finals matchup. And right now, if you're telling me Klay comes back and is 85% of what we're accustomed to, I'm taking the Warriors.
Yeah. And they coming up, Jonathan, they've got an easy schedule coming up. They've got the 1-8 Pelicans, the 1-6 Rockets, the 4-4 Hawks, who that's obviously could be a closer game. 3-4 Timberwolves, who I think are better than their record shows. They've got the Bulls, and then they've got the Hornets again, and then they go in to play the Nets. So their schedule coming up is not that hard. I mean, like I said, you got the Hawks and the T-Wolves who are better than their record suggests, and you've got the Bulls, who the Bulls are still trying to figure themselves out. So the Warriors really could be, even in the amount of 6-7 games, they could maybe pick up 1-2 losses by then. At that point, you're looking at yourself being 12-1, or 12-2, 11-3, something like that. The Warriors have a chance to really get off to a blazing start with, like we've said, the guys like Klay Thompson and James Wiseman still waiting in the wings, trying to get back on the court.
Well, the Bulls are, really one of the surprise teams of the year. We all knew that they were going to be improved, but right now, they're sitting at 6-2. Barely lost the other night. Right now, they're 5th in the league in defensive rating. So another team that is just really getting it done, on that end of the floor. In terms of offensive rating, they're sitting at 9. So offensive, defensive rating, top 10. I really think the Bulls are legit. I wouldn't call them contenders, but by no means do I think that's just going to be we can't just chalk that up as a win for Golden State. But like you mentioned, like New Orleans, Houston, you can count those as wins. Minnesota probably, like they've had a somewhat favorable schedule to get started here, playing Oklahoma City twice, playing Sacramento, and now the Pelicans, Rockets. So reasonable, pretty reasonable schedule for them to get started here. But I think that team is just going to get better and better. Now let's talk a little bit about this ball, Luke.
Yeah, so as far as this change goes, Jonathan, I don't know really how familiar you've been in keeping up with it or anything, but they've got a new a new ball that they're using, a new basketball they're using in the NBA right now that has really kind of altered some numbers here to start. I mean, you've got guys that are having noticeably slow starts. One of them being Damian Lillard, right? I mean, one of your favorite players, if not your favorite non-Magic player, and Damian Lillard. You got Jordan Clarkson, sixth man of the year, having a very slow start in terms of percentages. These guys are having, and Paul George spoke on it, right? I mean, Paul George said, he was asked about it, and he said, not to make an excuse or anything, it's just a different ball. It doesn't have the same touch or softness as a Spalding ball it had. You'll see this year there's going to be a lot of bad misses. In this article from Sporting News, they linked a terrible miss by LaMelo Ball and said, like, on any given night, you're going to be seeing shots like this. And it's true. I mean, the percentages are down. The misses are terrible. What do you think about the whole the change of the ball? Do you think that it actually is making a big difference, or what's...
Well, so just a little bit of background. So the change in the ball, basically the NBA ended their forever long partnership with Spalding this past offseason. Now they've gone with Wilson.
Right.
Now my understanding coming into the season was that Wilson was using like the same type of leather that was in the Spalding balls, but like you mentioned, Paul George mentioned that it has a different touch. It's not the same touch, different softness. It just feels different. So we saw this, Luke, back in the 2006 season, where the NBA went from the traditional, basketball to what they called the Spalding cross traction, which, if you remember, it was this weird, like, kind of like cross pattern on the ball, and it was made out of like a microfiber material. And players, I remember Steve Nash talking about the ball and how he was getting like little like abrasions all over the palms of his hands, like they were getting small cuts all over their hands from dealing with this basketball. And Shaq talked about it. He said the ball was terrible. There was like different grip on it, so when the ball got wet, you would see more misses, more turnovers, all of that kind of stuff. So, but actually, you mentioned that the shooting around the league is down. So this season, the league average right now is 34.3% from the three-point line. Luke, if that continued, that would be the lowest that we've seen since the 98-99 season, where teams shot, I just had this here, 33.9% from the three-point line. So we're looking at 22 years now. The league averages have just been steadily increasing. Last year, they shot 36.7% from the three-point line, which was the highest in history. And now we're seeing the lowest in 22 years. So as much as people like to meme and make fun of Paul George for, hitting the backboard, the side of the backboard in a, crucial playoff game, and we have seen that a couple of times, not out of Paul George, but I've seen that a couple of times from other guys. Terrible misses like you alluded to. But I do think there is something to the change in the ball. Now, what I will say is, for some guys, I'm not really buying it. Like, guys like Seth Curry, he's still shooting 53% on the year from the 3-point line. One of the the best players, best 3-point shooters, arguably of all time, I think, when it's said and done. He's got the genetics, obviously, with the big bro there. But I was thinking about it, like a guy, Jalen Suggs, that we watch on a nightly basis. It felt like in the summer league he shot the ball much better, and now he's, I think he's shooting around like 20-something% from the 3-point line right now. And I was like, I wonder, did they switch this ball out in summer league? Was it Wilson already, or was it still Spalding? It was the Wilson ball at the time of summer league. So unfortunately for Jalen, we can't really use that excuse. But it has been interesting, to hear guys, complain about the ball. And CJ McCollum said he's going to speak with some players this week, get some feedback. And then, he has a lot to do with the Players Association now. So,
Well,
he'll
these
go back to the
college,
Players Association with his feedback.
I mean, and these new players, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, the college ball official partner is Wilson. So I wonder what what they think about the ball themselves. Like, I would like to ask them, right? Like, what do you guys think in terms of the ball that you guys used in college? Like, what's the biggest difference, like, for you guys? Because Wilson, like I said, is the partner in college. That is the official basketball in college. So, and it does, Jonathan, I don't know if you've ever, in pickup basketball, that you've used, like, everybody comes to the gym. There's a ball that everybody uses every time. This guy's got the best one, or this gym's got the best one, and then all of a sudden you come and that guy doesn't show up with that ball, or that ball, you can't find it in the gym. It's a little bit devastating, if I'm being real, right? Because you're like, I don't know what ball we're gonna use, and then you use a ball and you shoot terrible, and you're like, it's the ball's fault. Right. Not even batting an eye. It's the ball's fault. I'm not used to that ball. And these are guys that this is their job. They have used the same basketball, like, guys like LeBron, PG, Dame. They've used the ball for their whole career, and then all of a sudden they're switching it up, and they use this ball every day. If you and I can get attached to a basketball playing pickup, I'm sure that these guys playing with the same basketball every day of their lives for 15, 16, 17, 18 years, I'm sure that there is something to get used to there. I don't think that it's definitely without warrant that, like, that there's a dip in 3-point shooting. I think that it'll pick up as they get used to it, as they, adapt, but also I think there's great merit to this ball actually having a huge effect on their game.
Well, I just think, Adam Silver didn't learn the lesson of his predecessor, David Stern. If I'm running the NBA in any capacity, anytime I think about changing the ball, I'm going to think back to 2006 and, like, oh, how did that go? It is a complete disaster. Maybe we won't do that again. And, like, Spalding is just synonymous with the NBA. Like, Spalding has always been the ball. I don't know the particulars that went behind the deal. Usually these things are, monetary differences. But it's just kind of weird that it seems like for the second, time in the past, 15 years, when they've gone to make updates to this ball, it doesn't seem like they got a lot of, feedback from the players ahead of time before they made this change.
Do you think that they know they have an NBPA? They have a Players Association? Do you think they know that?
My thing is just, like, you couldn't have got, like, 400 or 500 of these balls and, like, issued one to every guy and be like, hey, work out with this summer. Right. So that come training camp, you're acclimated to the ball, and at that point you kind of have a less of an excuse. You're working out with it once, twice a day for 2.5 months. You're going to get used to any ball. I don't care if it's the Bidan, the crappy rubber ball that you buy from Walmart. Terrible. You know what I mean? After a while, you're going to be able to slang that thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you play with it enough. But of course, I've been in pickup. How dare you question that?
Don't even. I knew it as I was saying it that you were going to take offense.
Who says that, though? I don't know if you've ever played pickup.
No, I meant the whole situation with the ball.
Of course, every kid in America has gone through that scenario. Everybody has. Right, I'm just busting your chops.
Yeah, I know.
But no, I don't know what do they do? Like, with Spalding in 2006, it was very easy to say, give us the same ball.
Right.
You can't. I'm sure they have a contract with Wilson. You can't just say, all right, we're done here.
Right.
Like, Wilson is going to try to engineer a new ball and implement that in the middle of the season. It could go even worse than this. So I just don't know what the answer is. I think these guys are just the league's going to say, sorry, it is what it is. You're going to have to get used to the ball. I mean, 3-point shooting percentage is down. I mean, the Magic are shooting the ball pretty well right now, so I haven't noticed it that much, but I don't think the product is suffering.
Maybe it's because they used to be bad at it. And now with a new ball, like, they just needed a change.
Just below average.
They just needed a change,
Maybe that's the case, but I don't think it's hurting the product. The games have been great. Yeah. There have been some bad misses, but there's bad misses in every game. They're few and far between, and the games, for the most part, have been really competitive. We've got great storylines this year. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I do think the NBA just has to ride it out. What do you think happens?
Yeah, I mean, that's all it is, man. I mean, you put pen to paper. Like they had long and hard to think about this. This was a big change. Like this was a monumental change in terms of like partnerships and relationships, right? I mean, the NBA's had that one with Spalding for so freaking long that there's no way that they didn't go through a lot of meetings about a basketball. They absolutely did. And I think that this is just one they're going to ride out. They knew it was possible. There's no way they didn't think about this not being a possibility. And now I think they're just going to say, they're going to get used to it, just like, our players way back when got used to Spalding. Like this is what it is. Money probably talks. Who knows really what went into that? I think that they just ride it out, and this becomes the NBA ball for a very long time.
Yeah, the change from Spalding to Wilson is at this point it's kind of like if they changed like the sponsor of the G League from like Gatorade to Body Armor.
Right.
They made it the B League or something like that. Like things just become so synonymous. It used to be the D League.
Right. Some people still call it that.
Yeah, so it's like it always has to be Gatorade from now on, doesn't it? Like that's kind of how it feels. So they'll figure it out
until someone comes along with more money. Yeah.
Hey, Kobe invested in Body Armor and made a heavy chunk of change off of that. God bless his soul.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. All right, Luke. Let's talk about something that is not as fun. So a few weeks ago, I believe it was Jordan Schultz. He tweeted out that there was an article. I think he referenced ESPN in his report that there was an article that was on its way about Suns owner Robert Sarver, kind of outlining a long history of misogyny, sexism, racism, just abuse in the workplace, like every bad thing that you can think of almost to be happening within an NBA organization. It's basically what Robert Sarver is being accused of. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to read the article, I'm not even going to lie. I was not able to finish the entire article today. It was released today. Yeah. It's about 50 pages long, it seems like. And it's just report after report after report of, racism towards, head coaches, Robert Sarver, repeatedly using the N-word. Yeah. Females not feeling safe in the workplace, feeling, sexually harassed, him, showing, staff members pictures of his wife in bikinis and detailing their, intimate relationship. I guess that's the best way to say that. Yeah. It's just it's really a terrible look for the Phoenix Suns organization. It's a black eye for the NBA. We don't have to go into all the particulars here, Luke, but there's no room for that in the NBA, and I don't think there's any room for someone like that to own an NBA team. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, end of the day, like, no matter where you stand, like, this dude is just a stereotypical rich white dude that owns an NBA team. Like it screams that to me, because unfortunately
I don't think that's the stereotype of NBA owners.
Okay,
I'll
but
have
are
to
you
disagree
like
there.
Okay, sure. But I mean there's been bad apples, right? I mean maybe stereotypical isn't bad. But despite how terrible these things are, it wasn't like they didn't like shock me to the point where like I was speechless, right? I read it and I was like, this is just a racist dude. Like, this is a racist dude who thinks that he's better than everybody else. This pissed me off, right? I mean, this is something that should, if you've got an issue with all those things. I mean, he asked a female worker, like, do I own you? When talking about, like, does she work for him? He just, like, is just one of those really entitled people. And unfortunately, he has had a ton of success and has gotten to the point where he feels invincible, I'm sure. You don't walk into a room and say the things that he said and get away with what you get away with if you're not that way. And so, yeah, I mean, that stuff makes me sick to read that, like, someone could treat another person that way. Not to mention, like, how many times. They said that there were 70 plus former and current employees that vouched. And also said one, like, in a Suns executive, I don't know if it was past or present, said, nothing you tell me, a story you tell me about Robert Sarver, nothing will surprise me.
It was a past vice president, I believe it was.
Yeah, he said nothing will would surprise me what you tell me about a story about Robert Sarver. So, I hope that now that the NBA has launched this full investigation into everything to do with him, I hope they find out a lot of things, and I hope that he is suffers mightily from it. I think that there's obviously no place for that, and it really is very sad.
Well, I think the not the worst part of this, because the people that were victimized, is really the worst part of this. But a horrible factor of this is the worst that he's going to get is forced to sell the team, in which he's going to profit billions of dollars from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's as far as this is going to go. You know what I
Right.
mean? At least what it seems. The investigation is going to uncover really everything. So I don't know. I'm hoping that nothing worse than what we saw in this article has happened. I mean, as bad as all of that is, but who knows, if something crazy goes out, maybe this guy ends up in jail. I highly doubt that, but
Right.
we don't know yet. Is what I'm saying. But more than likely, the worst thing that's going to happen to him, he's going to pocket a few $1 billion, and he's going to lose his NBA team and the power that he has over a lot of these people, which in itself is a good thing to get him out of the league. But a guy like that is still going to profit a few $1 billion is pretty crazy. But yeah, one of the craziest things to me was we had Corliss Williamson here in Orlando when Frank Vogel was here. So obviously we take him at his word, and he said that there was a game where DeAndre Ayton, his rookie year, didn't record a block or a foul during the game, and Robert Sarver came into the locker room after the game, slammed the stat sheet in front of Corliss Williamson, and continued to berate the coaching staff. And there's so many stories in that article. It really goes on. It does not end. But just countless instances of him interjecting himself into the basketball operations side of things.
Yeah.
And we went through this. What was that? 2014 was it, with Donald Sterling?
Mm.
And they got him up out of the league. I remember at the time, when the Donald Sterling tapes were released, it seemed kind of really shocking to the public at that time, but people in the NBA were like, no, we've all known about this forever. And now you're kind of getting the same vibe with Robert Sarver, that people have known this for a long time. I don't know how this still happens in 2021, where people know that an owner is like this, and it's not until it goes public that it really becomes a problem.
Right. And at the end of the day, man, obviously we don't want to spend too much time on it, because it is just
Disheartening.
hard to talk about too. What also breaks my heart is his kids. He's got 3 kids, and I believe they're adults now, but even if they're my age, a little bit older, whatever it might be, I mean, that stuff is that's so sad to think about. Their kids, probably the first time that they really hear about this in an article or whatever is going to be in an article, right? That could have been the first time that they really heard about it. They've probably heard rumors.
You know your dad. That's all. You know who your dad is.
Maybe in some ways, sure. I'm sure
you're this out with it, to where I'm doing things in conference meetings and things like that. I think they might have had a hint somewhere around the.
Yeah, I mean, and it probably came with his dad being way too weird when he had a few drinks at Thanksgiving or Christmas, talking about he and his wife and what they do.
Their mom.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't even know if he's married to their mother, but
yeah. So I mean,
really
it's
disgusting.
It's gross, and it stinks that there are some people who are finding out, or it's becoming reality for them, and things are becoming fact. That they're actually gonna have to come to terms with now, whether they knew it or not. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah, for sure. Well, league's gonna take care of him, and he'll get kind of what he deserves, not fully, but
right.
Yeah, there's just no place for that in our league, guys. So, all right, Luke, we're gonna switch gears here. It feels kind of weird to go from that to we're gonna talk about gambling, but that's what we're gonna do, because that's what we we do that every week on the show here. So. Let's talk about some of our what you've got going on with your college bets, and then we'll talk some NFL.
Yeah. So as far as college goes here, Jonathan, let's see. Last week, I was 1-1, so now I'm 11-7-2. I had Georgia minus 14 against Florida. That came true. I never really had to sweat it. So there's that. Iowa, Wisconsin, I did over 36.5 because it was the lowest over under the year. But Vegas always knows. I think 34 points is what they combined for. It was like 27-7 or something like that. Um, so yeah, and then for this week, I've got Nebraska plus 14.5. They're playing against Ohio State this week. It is could be something that Ohio State kind of sleepwalks into. The reason I'm going with Nebraska plus 14.5 is because they've kept every game close that they've lost. They've lost to Purdue by 5, Minnesota by 7, 7th ranked Michigan by 3, 3rd ranked Michigan State by 3, 8th ranked Oklahoma by 7, and Illinois at the beginning of the season they lost by 8, which they shouldn't have lost that game. So that being said, I think Nebraska plus 14.5. I think they play up to their competition. Ohio State had that loss earlier in the year to Oregon. Wasn't a bad loss whatsoever. Oregon a top 5 team right now, but they are beatable. I think that Nebraska loses this game, but I think that they can keep it within probably 10. So plus 14.5 is a no-brainer for me. Miami minus 10.5 against Georgia Tech. Miami has a freshman quarterback now, Tyler Van Dyke, who threw for 426 yards with a 76% completion rating last week against 17th ranked Pitt in their win. And Georgia Tech, sometimes it's just simple. Georgia Tech has failed to cover their last 4 games. So I'm going Miami, who is trending upward, and Tech, who can't seem to cover a football game. So I'm going Miami minus 10.5 and Nebraska plus 14.5.
What are you sitting at on the year now?
Now I am 11-7-2.
Bad at all?
Yep. Been pretty
Sitting
good.
in the positive?
Yeah.
In the account, the good old account there?
Yep. Sitting positive, but NFL, it's very back and forth. I either go 2-0 on my picks or 0-2. There's no in between.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our friends at Manscaped, and then we'll bring it back to talk some NFL bets. Guys, it is football season, baby, and you know what that means? It means we're going for 2 here with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. Blitzing through hairs has never been easier, and it's time you join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using code SIXTH, that's SIXTH, at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. It's 3 and out the window with all other trimmers. Now go tame that Wildcat offense.
The Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped is the perfect package for your package and a key for a great grooming and hygiene routine to make sure the boys downstairs are smooth like Tom Brady in the fourth quarter. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 is here to take your defense to the next level. This 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SIXTH at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code SIXTH, SIXTH. Stiff arm your pubes out of the playoffs this year with Manscaped. All right, Luke, yeah, I had a pretty strong start to the year, I would say. You know, the account was looking pretty thick, pretty healthy. Mm-hmm. And the last couple of weeks, really 2 weeks ago, lost every bet that I had placed. The account was sitting very, very low. And last week went 1-1. So last week I took the Bengals minus 12 at the Jets, which they did not cover. But I took Tennessee plus 3 at the Colts. Luckily, they did cover. This week, just kind of looking at the spreads right now, a few things that popped out to me. So I really like this week Atlanta at New Orleans. Atlanta plus 7. New Orleans last week, Jameis Winston tore his ACL. Taysom Hill right now is questionable with a concussion. So right now the starter would be Trevor Siemian. I don't think Sean Payton has made an announcement one way or the other who would start there. But I don't trust Taysom Hill or Trevor Siemian. So no Calvin Ridley for the Atlanta Falcons, but it's a division game. I feel like Kyle Pitts, your guy and my fantasy tight end, I feel like he's going to be needed to have a big week. So I like the Falcons to cover +7 at New Orleans. Next up, I've got the New England Patriots at Carolina. Right now, the Patriots are favored by 3.5. Yeah, I just feel like Bill Belichick is going to put Sam Darnold into all types of mind puzzles and force him into some turnovers. I expect Mac Jones to continue to play pretty well that he has this year. And yeah, just give me Bill Belichick over Matt Rule and Mac Jones over Sam Darnold, especially Sam Darnold going up against Bill Belichick and the New England defense. So I'll take.
What's the line right now?
Right now it's -3.5.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And then last, I've got the Rams. So the Rams will be at home to take on the Titans. They're -7.5. No Derrick Henry. It's all going to fall on the shoulders of Ryan Tannehill. Los Angeles Rams this week, they acquired Von Miller. So Aaron Donald, Von Miller on that defensive line. Everybody knows the Rams offense has been incredible this year. Cooper Kupp's been amazing. I just think the Derrick Henry loss for the Titans is going to be really big. They've got Adrian Peterson, who's like 78 years old at this point, in the backfield. And yeah, I like the Rams big. Even if this was like 8.5 or 9.5, I still think I would take it, Luke.
Yeah. So I'll start with one that I agree. We have an agreement here. Patriots -3.5. Like you said, Belichick's gonna put because we don't know necessarily unless they've announced it since I put this down, but Darnold had a concussion and an injury last week. So it's either going to be Darnold or PJ Walker.
Well, he's been getting benched regardless. So, even
Darnold
going into the week,
has been limited today. So I think that PJ Walker is a decent quarterback for a backup. But even if it was Darnold, like we said, I don't trust Darnold at all at this point. Panthers, had some people fooled in the first part of their season, but not anymore. You lose CMC, wheels come off. I think that the Patriots can cover that -3.5. Baltimore -6 against Minnesota is my other play here. Ravens coming off of a bye. They got embarrassed by the Bengals the week before. Cooper Rush and the freaking Cowboys just beat the Vikings most recently. My next reason is the Vikings suck. And by they, sucks. I mean Kirk Cousins. Yes. So, and that's literally what I put in my notes. You like that? Yeah, Kirk Cousins. You're going to like this. Baltimore, I think if Cooper Rush can get it done, so can Lamar Jackson. So I think Baltimore -6.
Fair assessment.
Baltimore -6, I feel pretty good about. So yeah, Baltimore -6, and then we're kind of in a lock agreement there. Patriots -3.5.
I like it, Luke. How are you doing in fantasy, by the way? I'm kind of teetering. I've got CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are both dealing with some stuff right now.
Well,
I've got Saquon out with COVID. Terry McLaurin's on a bye. One of my leagues, ESPN has me projected 99% chance to make the playoffs. The other league, 84%. I'm really just trying to hold on these last few weeks of the regular season for fantasy football.
Yeah, I'm holding on for dear life, to be quite frank. I'm 4-4 on the year. Aaron Rodgers decided to go and get the vids.
Can we talk about that for a split second? Did
what?
This man? People are saying he either lied about being vaccinated. He implied that he was. He said he was immunized, and that he wasn't going to criticize other guys on the team who weren't vaccinated. Some people are like, man, did this man have like a fake vaccination card, or like what is happening? He stands to be in some serious trouble.
Aaron Rodgers is a questionable human being, I think, and some of his things that we've heard about him. So this doesn't at all shock me that he would lie or allude to something. It just none of this surprises me. But as my starting fantasy quarterback, it does hurt. Luckily, I have Joe Burrow sitting on my bench that I started last week over Aaron Rodgers, which I did not regret. After Aaron Rodgers put up like 14 points, Burrow put up like 20 or something like that. So Burrow for me this week. Obviously, Aaron Jones is my RB1 here. Jamison Crowder playing right now. I didn't want to play him, but I had to because Sterling Shepard decided to be made of glass again. So yeah, and Terry McLaurin's on a bye. I'm getting hit by the bye week this week, Jonathan. Hawkinson's out for a bye. McLaurin's out. Alex Collins. it's this may not be a fun week for me. I think I might drop to 4-5. So
And look at the Colts right now, smoking the Jets. They're up 21-7.
Jonathan
In the
Taylor
second
scoring
quarter,
or what?
Jonathan Taylor, 18 points for me right now in fantasy. So
You got a
sitting
touchdown then?
pretty right now. Let's look at the stat line so far. He is sitting at
Yeah, 1 rushing.
74 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 reception, 28 receiving yards. So doing pretty well.
Well, Mike White also right now quarterback for the Jets as Zach Wilson's out throwing Carson Wentz 95 yards to 91. So there's that. They each have a touchdown.
Well, I mean, 21-7. You know, you
Jonathan
don't have to throw
Taylor
the ball all that much.
Jonathan Taylor is also just the man. So there's that.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, he had me nervous first couple of weeks. He was my first round pick. So
yeah,
he's living up to the hype. Really, really appreciate that out of Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Would really be nice to pull down a fantasy league Super Bowl. Last 4 years I've been in 5. I've won 1, and then I lost 4 in a row. So
Pain.
never a good time. Yeah, for sure. But Luke, I think that's gonna do it for this week.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, folks. Well, we'll keep an eye on the Warriors in this basketball situation, and God bless the people in Phoenix. They're dealing with a lot of crap right now. So, anyways, folks, for Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to Shoot the Shot, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.